Hi, Peter here, and I just wanted to share a quick little video about something I've noticed recently for some of the conversations I've been having here in New Zealand with companies that are starting to embrace design thinking and talking to them about how that applies across the rest of their business. I've noticed a parallel between two different mindsets that are relatively new. One school of thinking is what we call design thinking, so that's the application of the mindsets and toolkits and approaches of a designer. So that's design thinking. The other mindset that we're seeing, or kind of toolkit and approach that we're seeing people apply to innovation and creativity, is what they call the lean startup approach. So this is about being fast, agile, iterative. And what's really interesting is when you peel back the kind of surface differences, the lean startup stuff is all about being more entrepreneurial and kind of moving faster, whereas the design thinking stuff is more about empathy and being user-centered. To be honest, at the heart of both of them, they have a lot of similarities. So the first thing is that they both look at the business through a lens of three different things that you need to do to succeed. So in design thinking, they talk about desirability, they talk about feasibility, and they talk about viability. So that's that you need the design element of a business for the product or the service to be desirable. It needs to have the technology in order, it needs to be able to be built, it needs to be able to be maintained, and it needs to be viable. So it needs to be able to have a business model and to make money. And that's a great lens of looking at a business. The funny thing is that in the startup world, they just talk about design, business, and technology. They say you need to have a product that people want and will be able to make them want it. You need to be able to build the thing, and then you need to be able to fund it. So the way the startup guys summarize that is that you need a hipster who can do the design, you need a hacker that can do the building, and you need a hustler that can get the money. So they talk about a hacker, a hustler, and a hipster as being the minimum team that you need to create a great startup. The other thing that's really interesting is how they approach creativity and innovation, because once you've got a mindset of looking across all areas of the business, you think, okay, so what are we going to do with that? So in the design thinking world, they talk about rapid prototyping, so building prototypes and getting user feedback and getting out and doing interviews. But it tends to be driven off creating sketches and wireframes and mock-ups and then taking those out and getting feedback on them and then iterating on those. In the startup world, they talk about what's called a minimum viable product. So that is the smallest, simplest, easiest to build version of the product that would be viable to get valid feedback from the marketplace. The trick with the minimum viable product is it has to be something that you can really put out into the world and have real users interact with and get real value out of. It's not just a wireframe or a mock-up. It's actually a version of the real product. The interesting thing is in today's world, you can do that almost as quickly. So if you have a good hacker, hustler, and hipster, then you can actually churn out working versions of a mobile app in less than 24 hours. And that's kind of terrifying, but what it means is that you can take the mindsets of the design thinking world and being very user-centered and apply that to actually testing with real products. So in the startup world, they call that validated learning, and that's incredibly important. I think it's a point of similarity, so the translation point is between rapid prototyping and minimum viable product. I think there's more to say on the similarities between design thinking and the lean startup mindset, but those were the two kind of main parallels that I wanted to share with you guys today, so have a good one.